Yeah, we so often talk about the absurdity of Lidia Thorpe, but what about her at full flight? In the Senate today, Senate estimates can often be boring, not when Holly's asking questions, and I'll get to what she had to say about solar panels and the Uyghurs in a second or two. But if we can just play as overlay again this interaction so people can see, it was an administrative committee and we end up with a minister screaming at a senator and no one's the better for it. Joe, ridiculous, but all part of the form, right?
It's all part of the form. I mean, Lydia's almost backed herself, Senator Thorpe, I should say.
Please.
Let's give her the respect she deserves. Has pretty much backed her into... I mean, she does it for everyone else, doesn't she? Has pretty much backed herself into a corner where she has to keep getting more and more hysterical, more and more extreme, more and more outrageous, because otherwise it would just be a long, slow decline, which in a sense it already is. I would like to see Senator Thorpe sue Malarndirri McCarthy for calling her a disgrace for her to her people, just so that Senator McCarthy could then employ the defence of the truth.
Yeah, correct.
Because it is absolutely and utterly true. The amount of money they're talking about, I suspect, I'm not entirely sure, but I suspect it's part of $250 million. That's B for billion, as we're fond of saying on this show, dollars that the federal government had in the budget for Central Australia, for, in particular, Alice Springs, and for health resources, community resources. A new health and community centre, I believe, was one of those.
And the expectation was that it was extra money. It was cute, but because I love you, I'll let it pass. All right, now, Holly, you know these moments where, and we'll get into some of the stuff that you had to deal with today, but you know, this sort of nonsense, of course, distracts from all of the more substantive stuff that happened today, but it's not really a surprise. Do you serve on any committees and have to put up with this often?
So Senator Thorpe was in with us a couple of times today. I was in Community and Environment, so we had communications today, which the highlight was ABC. But Senator Thorpe came in a couple of times today, and it was actually, you know, as I commented to one of my colleagues on the side, you know, it is quite entertaining when the kids fight, because Lidia was having a really big go at Sarah Hanson-Young and accusing Senator Hanson-Young of being a racist. So, you know, sometimes you've just got to sit back and enjoy the show. But it was extraordinary watching that footage earlier, because I was obviously not in that committee. But I now know what the yelling was, because they're in the committee room next to us, and I was actually on my way back to my office and heard this incredible amount of yelling, and I'm like, gosh, and the door was closed, so I couldn't see who was doing what, but yeah, I could hear it coming out of the witnesses' room. So it was extraordinary to watch that footage, but that the chair did not pull it up at all. We had a little feisty this morning through the communications talking to the department, and we ended up suspending the meeting and having a committee discussion outside.
A little time out.
Because it was was a little time out. You know, I'll admit I was part of the fracas, but, you know, when ministers are refusing to answer questions, when ministers aren't briefed properly during estimates, and you literally can see them sort of with their phone waiting for the minister's office to text them the answer to the question they're being asked, and you suggest to the minister that perhaps they should just table their phone, you know, the Labor senators in the room get a little bit antsy.
Yeah,
but,
let the phone give the evidence. I tell you what, it probably reminds of what it was like for all the other kids at school when Joe and I inevitably were getting in trouble and being yelled at by the teacher. We've just seen a version of that happen in Canberra.